Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ocean City Lifestyle and Real Estate blog, an extension of the Running Real Estate podcast. I guess it's not a blog, it's a podcast. I don't know what I'm saying here.
Whatever it is, we're back.
All right, we are back after a couple week hiatus here. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I know you've been doing some traveling and it's just busy time of year. Everybody's been busy. You got senior finishing up at high school. So I know there was prom over the weekend and yeah, lots of sports going on my side. So my son and the Decatur baseball team they play the state semifinals tonight. Big night across the bridge against Chesapeake from Anne Arundel County. So
big day.
Big day. Should be a great game. Decatur's already made it, I think, 3 games past where we did last year. So hoping to keep this run going, but definitely going to be a tough game. We also got a shout out to Stephen Decatur boys lacrosse, who will be playing in the state championship today against our arch nemesis, Kent Island. So hopefully we can get it done there too. All the lacrosse boys can bring that first state championship back for the spring. And then, the baseball teams are going to do their best to keep their run going. But yeah, how's prom and all for the girls? And
yeah, well, I think that's one thing I really like about us sitting down here and actually, doing this podcast is we get a chance to get caught up because we both are at that stage of life where we got, some older kids, high school kids running around a little bit. But yeah, prom was good. I had 2 girls at the prom here, Stephen Decatur, in different directions for photos. And I think Gabby started getting ready at like 11 o'clock, and the prom doesn't even start till 7 o'clock. So it's quite the event, quite the affair. But yeah, that was this weekend and got through it, and everybody's happy, healthy, safe. And that's what you want when you have those prom type events. But yeah, for you, I know you kind of just skipped over it, but for our listeners, your son, Ronan's having quite the run when it comes to baseball here with Stephen Decatur. Historic time for them making it to the
semis tonight.
Semis. And Ronan pitched.
Ronan pitched a couple games ago in our regional championship. So, to get to the state tournament, you have to go through your regions.
Yeah.
Our region, I think, is about 20 teams or so. Ronan got the opportunity, the privilege to pitch in the regional championship game. Something that probably wasn't planned, but
he's a sophomore.
He is a sophomore, so probably wasn't planned, but it was a necessity. He went out, probably pitched one of the best games I've ever seen him pitch, and we were able to come through with a win to win our region, which propelled us to the state quarterfinals last Saturday, where we took on Towson, beat Towson 11-1, which is setting up for this might be one of the best games in the playoffs. I'm a little biased, but out of all classes, we got Decatur and Chesapeake from Anne Arundel County. So Chesapeake has a phenomenal pitching staff. 3 kids that are juniors that are all over 90 miles per hour. They are all available to pitch tonight.
Right.
So it's going to be definitely a tough matchup. On our flip side, we got all our pitchers available too. We got Kyle Springle taking the mound. Super confident. He's been having a great season as well, really leading the pitching staff for Decatur. And we're wishing him all the best. And but I know, the bats are going to be coming alive as well. We got a lot of seniors that, this is their last ride. And the team, I've seen it since the beginning. I mean, those kids love each other. They're all friends. They have a great time. They play for each other. And, if momentum and team chemistry mean anything, I think we might have a slight leg up, just from what I've seen. Again, I haven't seen Chesapeake up close in person, but I do know tonight is going to be a battle. And I think whoever wins tonight, it's going to be a hot take because neither team has won a 3A state championship in a while, but I think whatever team wins tonight wins the 3A state championship. Hot take.
There you go.
Shout out to Decatur baseball.
Well, that's good. And then, like you said, lacrosse, these lacrosse boys who are seniors, interestingly enough, I mean, they've been together for quite some time. And my son, Tanner, who's a sophomore in college, I mean, those guys were all like sophomores. And even back then, they were talking about him. So I think this is the chance for that team to cap off a pretty good high school career and try to bring it home,
Yeah, the lacrosse team's great. So my son plays baseball. I actually played lacrosse growing up. So I've been paying attention to them quite a bit. We got at least two D1 commits. Yeah. Both attackmen. We score a lot of goals. They're aggressive. There's been some battles with Kent Island. Kent Island came out on top in the last game, but I think we're ready to take some revenge tonight, looking for some big games from our goal scorers.
All right, I'm going to shout out Gavin Geiser, who is my daughter's boyfriend, who is a junior and starting attackman. So we're going to put a shout out there for Stephen Decatur Lacrosse.
Shout out, Gavin.
Yeah. All right, getting down to it. So it's been a little bit. Let's talk about some interesting topics here. I think last time, part of our conversation was the town coming to life, and the Spring Fest, and some of the events that we had. Kind of a big kickoff this weekend too, right?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I mean, we are at Memorial Day weekend. So we had our first couple events, Spring Fest, cruising. Both weekends seemed pretty decent. I actually ran into town during cruising weekend. There were a bunch of cars here.
Right.
So that looked like a good event. But yeah, like official kickoff. Finally here, Memorial Day weekend. We have great weather. We've had great weather for the past few days. Don't hate me. And I know we talk about the weather a little bit too often maybe on here. Looks like we're going to be a little bit cooler and a little rainy over the weekend, but don't let that ruin your chance to get down to the beach. All the restaurants will be open. I'm sure we're still going to have a huge crowd because everybody's just been waiting for this.
Yeah, agree. That's definitely, I think what we're going to see is a lot of folks coming to town. Could be a little bit cooler. Just bring the sweatshirts, right? Day at the beach, even if it's cool, is still a good day.
That's it.
And plenty to do, like you said, between restaurants and everything else, and checking out some real estate. We were talking a team meeting a little bit ago. We have some open houses lined up for this weekend, and honestly, they could be busier if people aren't on the beach. They might start wandering around a little bit looking at some real estate. So we might see that here this weekend.
100%.
Right. And then following that, we're going to have a busy, right into June here with Air Show and then Father's Day. So we're coming alive.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I've lived here for 14 years. There's a lot of events kind of packed right into that like first 4 or 5 weeks of the summer, which is great. The Air Show is always a great time. We also know we'll have some senior weekers coming in. So, a little bit different here in June, but we are excited. The weather, like I said, it's been fantastic.
Feels like summer, like midsummer, July.
It's gonna be like 90 degrees today almost. Yeah. So hopefully maybe we got a few days, maybe that forecast will change. But yeah, come on down to the beach. We're excited to see our second home people come back. We're excited to see people that have vacations booked come back and just celebrate the summer being here.
Sounds good. All right. So one of the topics I wanted to touch on this week was a headline that I saw the beginning part of the week or maybe over the weekend here. I sent it to Stephen here, and it caught my attention. But Realtor.com put this out talking about a second home tax. Yeah. What does this entail?
So, I think this headline is really coming from what we're seeing in New York City right now. So we had that big headline come out or ad, I guess you would call it, where the mayor there was talking about second homes and wanting to tax, the ultra wealthy, the ultra rich that were owned property in New York City that as a second home, maybe they didn't use it very often. So, looking at increasing maybe that tax rate to help the tax base. So I think in theory, probably a good idea. But there's definitely some pros and cons to each side the way I look at it. So, and I know you're going to talk about this a little bit, but here in Ocean City, we have 7,000 year-round residents, give or take.
All right. Not very many.
Not very many. About 87% of the properties here in Ocean City are deemed second homes or some sort of vacation rental. So, we have a large base of second homes. We do not have an increased tax rate here in Maryland for second homes. It's charged in Worcester County at the same base rate as it is for primary residents. The big difference there is primary residents in Worcester County, we can pay our taxes twice a year. So we get, biannual or semi-annual, however you term that, but we get to pay taxes twice per year. Whereas second home owners, they have to pay their taxes one lump sum July 1st. So that's kind of like the big tax difference. So how I look at our area, we're a second home area, right? We go from 7,000 people here year round. In the summer, we're over 300,000 people a week. So what I look at it as a pros for us is, maybe we could add some more year-round residents, but then we're going to detract from the millions of guests we get throughout the summer. So for me, I think the economic impact as far as the money that is now being spent in town, when people are on vacation, they spend a little bit differently than they do when, they're year-round residents. So
absolutely.
I think, for us, it's always been that hybrid ownership here in Ocean City where people use their place a few times a year. They may come down during the off season, but then they're doing some rentals as well to help offset that cost. And not only is it helping those people that have, took a chance and bought a second home in Ocean City by being able to offset some of those costs, but again, our economy, we're having people come in changing every 3, 4, 7 days. We're getting a new group of people that want to come visit our town and are inserting money into our local economy. So the way I look at it for us, the second home not being taxed higher is definitely a pro, because we're still seeing people invest. We're seeing people, destination area here in Maryland. I mean, everybody almost vacations at Ocean City, whether it be for 3 days a year, 2 weeks a year. I mean, I think everybody that lives in Maryland is going to be at Ocean City at some point this year.
Right.
And these second homes offer opportunities to people that might not be able to afford to live at the beach full time. But they want to get down for a couple weeks or a week during the summer. So I think for us it's a pro. Also, we don't have the infrastructure. I mean, to be completely honest, if we were to add, 250,000 more year-round residents to Worcester County, it would be a struggle for us. We would have to do a lot as far as schools and shopping and everything. So I think for us, we're not ready. So it doesn't make sense for us to have a higher second home tax. When I look at places like, it's happening, they're talking about in New York. I know it's happening in Hawaii at some places. Hawaii kind of surprises me because, again, that's a vacation area. Like, you don't want to chase out those people that are vacationing or investing their money to be in that area. New York City is kind of I guess maybe a different concept, because maybe you are looking for more year-round properties for people. I mean, that's a big city. There are ownership issues, I'm sure. So I think this is an evolving topic. I think we are going to see, I mean, even here in Ocean City, we've had talks about, some rental restrictions and different zonings. So we could see that moving into different areas where we see high concentrations of second homes, where maybe they're going to talk about either having a higher base rate tax for second homeowners. Maybe there's a one-time fee. There's all different kinds of things you can do to maybe increase your tax basis. But I think there's going to be a balance. You don't want to chase out the people that are helping pay taxes. But yeah, you want to help your residents for sure. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch how it plays out over the next couple of years. I think second homes, investment properties, rental properties maybe have gotten a little bit of some negative media attention over the past few years. Here in Ocean City, it's always been something that's happened. We're looking at ways that, might evolve moving forward, but I don't think it'll ever be gotten rid of, the second home idea. So yeah, just this tax is something that could happen moving forward in different municipalities. One of the interesting things is there really is no legislation at a state level anywhere, at a national level anywhere, but we're seeing like local municipalities kind of enforce some of these rules. So there's really no consistency to it. So I think that's where maybe the scary part is there's no consistency. So something to definitely monitor, but really no talks here in our community as far as a second home tax increase, but definitely making some national news.
Right. Well, taxes in general get people energized. And I can tell you, I hear it, I see it on social media whenever taxes come about and people are threatening taxes or an increase or a decrease, people become very polarized, right? Opposites. And, certain people think Maryland's got high taxes as it is. But to your point, here in Worcester County, if we're looking at that specifically, there is no increase for a second home. They're just paying the taxes off of the assessed value. Our primary residences, you said they get to pay biannually, but they could apply for the homestead credit, right? Sure. and get a slight reduction. So it's not like there's an increase for second homes, but the primary residents could get a slight reduction, and they have some caps as to how they phase in the assessed value every 3 years. So there is some benefit there. But to your point, when you look at the fact that we have 7,000 year-round residents in Ocean City, but what was the number you put out there? 87. What was the percentage?
87% about our properties in Ocean City are registered as either second homes or some sort of investment property.
So that's a huge amount of tax dollars coming into Worcester County, paid for by people who aren't necessarily benefiting from the services like schools, right, and some of these other amenities that you get when it's your primary residence. So it always makes me scratch my head a little bit when I think about how much tax dollars comes into Worcester County as it is. And a lot of it's funded by people who don't necessarily live here, and they don't get a vote.
Right. which is great for us. And again, I think
Right.
it's great for people that have an opportunity to come and experience the lifestyle for a week. I mean, again, we have people that are taking a chance, buying a second home. They're putting money, tax dollars into Ocean City, into Worcester County. And then not only that, they're then turning around and opening it up for everybody to come use it. I mean, what a better way to advertise our city, to have people come in and see what we're all about. So I think, some of this, like looking down on second homeowners or investment properties, is crazy to me, because these people have taken a chance. We do this. This is my 11th year in the business. And one of my lines is, when I'm working with clients and they're like, hey, we're just not quite ready to make an offer yet. Like, my line is, I get it. No one needs a second home.
Right.
Like, we're literally selling luxury items a lot of times that people are just deciding to buy to take a chance. And we all know a lot of time the rentals aren't really cash flowing positive for the first 5-10 years, depending on how much money, you've invested in your rate and all that. So it really is a risk. No drain on local services. And then again, if someone's renting 12 weeks, that's 12 opportunities for a different family, to come down on vacation with their vacation money and inject it into our local economy. Again, I think if you get into some more year-round residence areas, New York City, some big metropolises, we know there's some issues with rentals. We know there's some issues with affordable housing, with even opportunities to buy. But again, you just want to make sure you're not isolating these folks that have taken a risk, that are investing in our communities, and like you said, not even being here to use the things they're investing in most of the time. So,
right.
I think it's just it's interesting how everything gets looked at. We love our second home owners. We love our investment property owners. My parents are proud second home owners here in Ocean City. I've been vacationing here my whole life before I moved here. And, without second home owners, that might not have been possible. I know, we couldn't afford a condo till later in my life, growing up. So, I think it's interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. There's also, for our second homeowners, I mean, they have to have a rental license if they're renting it. There's other fees that are, going to the town, to the city, to make, that make up for maybe people not being there 365 days a year.
Right. Yeah, the whole rental license thing is another hot topic, which we'll bring back to the podcast here in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. But one thing we do have, so we don't have an increase in taxes for second homeowners, but what we do have, and I get this question a lot, is just like, what's that exit tax you've got, in Maryland? And it's not just Maryland, but it's what they're typically referring to as Maryland and Delaware has something called the non-resident withholding tax. And what, we can get into, a little more detail on that in another podcast. But what we do have is when you sell a home and it wasn't your primary residence, both Maryland and Delaware are wanting to make sure that they can capture the state portion of the capital gains tax, essentially, where Delaware's at 6.6%, and Maryland just increased theirs a little bit to 8.75%, and that's only on the gain. Right. They're looking to, when you sell a property and you invested wisely and the property went up in value, there's some gain there, and capital gains tax is something that's very real. But we do have that, and that is something that gets collected pretty much at the time of closing. And there's ways around it. There's calculations. There's things you can do. Not ways around it, but there's calculations that you can do to reduce the actual tax amount. So,
and you can actually get an exemption, correct, at times if you file it within time. That it doesn't forgive you from paying that tax, but you get all your proceeds and then agree to file with the state you sold in to make sure that tax can be captured. So, and then talk to your accountant. Obviously, if you've invested money in the property, there's ways to make that number maybe a little bit smaller, so your gains or capital gains tax a little bit less. But just if you want an exemption, that is something you got to start early in the process, because it can take 30, 60 days at times to get that.
Right. And that's something I would encourage you to talk to your agent or talk to us. It's something we work with every day, the non-resident withholding taxes, and we can help prep people ahead of time. So it's not a surprise.
Right. And that doesn't mean you're losing all that money either. That means the state is withholding it for now to make sure that you actually file your taxes within the state. So you might get some of that back. You might get all of it back. It's just kind of very situation dependent, but that does not mean you're losing that tax money right away.
Right. And the biggest misconception there is it's, a lot of our clients will think it's geared just towards non-residents, like it's an exit tax for non-residents. Well, actually, the tax rate applies for both residents and non-residents. It's just about when it's collected, where, with a non-resident, it's collected at time of closing, where if it's your residence or you're a resident of the state selling a non-primary residence home, you're subject to this capital gains, but it's going to come tax time.
Well, they know you got to file,
right.
So they don't need to withhold it because they know you got to file.
You live here
to get anything back. So,
right.
But yeah, not really kind of an exit tax. Not really. Just want to make every state, anywhere you do business, they want to make sure they get their money.
Right.
So.
Yep, that's taxes for the day. We'll get on to a bit more interesting topic, and maybe not interesting, but maybe less tax oriented. And that's when is the best time to sell. We talked about this a couple weeks back, but the reason I want to go back to this, Stephen, is I talk to a lot of sellers, and I know you do as well, and I'm starting to get some chatter from folks being like, "Well, I want to sell, but did I miss the mark? Did I miss the spring season?" And interestingly enough, some people may think you did, but then there's some experts that think it's upon us.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're a very seasonal market, or we used to definitely be like very seasonal. Those tendencies have changed a bit, mainly since COVID. So maybe not as seasonal, but we still have a big spring market push. We have a big fall market push. Ocean City specifically, we do see a little decline here in the summer, maybe in transaction count, right?
Right.
But we might actually see more showings and activity during those months. So we might not see the sales in July and beginning of August, but we might see someone that's on vacation. They're at the Sea Watch, and they just happen to see that the unit down the hall is for sale. They vacationed at the Sea Watch for the past 7 years. They love it. Why don't we go check out what's for sale and start that conversation? So that's where we kind of see the dream starting a lot. We have big calendar days. Memorial Day. People want to get in before Memorial Day. Then usually if they've missed Memorial Day, it's July 4th. After that, for Ocean City, it does cool down for a bit because then people start thinking about the fall, getting back to school, and then we'll see another pop end of August, kind of through September. So we are a little seasonal. With that being said, yeah, I've got listings on the market right now. Activity has definitely increased over the past 2 weeks. I've gotten some more buyer activity recently. So I definitely think the market heating up a little bit right now. Might be a little pocket where we're busy for the next few weeks, and then it kind of slows down a little, but there's a market in every market. That's another one of my favorite lines. People are always looking to buy. People are always looking to sell. So I wouldn't worry if you haven't sold. Probably time to talk to your agent. If you're not getting showings, just to kind of maybe re-strategize and get ready for the next market, for the summer season. So, there's definitely probably better times to list and sell than not, but there's always people looking to do something.
Yeah, so this report that I picked up on was specifically from Zillow, and this is nationwide, and a lot of it does kind of play into what we're doing locally here. But the best time to list, sellers could earn $6,000 more listing in late May. So new Zillow research shows strategic timing paired with strong marketing, which we obviously can give you, can add thousands of dollars to the seller's bottom line. So in this analysis here, based off of their review of what sold last year in 2025, the 2 best weeks to list your home, if you want to maximize the return to sell it, are actually the last 2 weeks in May here. On average, if you listed the property for sale in the last 2 weeks of May, those properties sold for 1.7% more nationwide, or about $6,000 more than any other time throughout the year. So it's interesting time. So I've been using this. I mean, when sellers are coming to me, because I think we listed 3 or 4 last week. I think we've got 2 more that we're photographing today. I mean, like, we have sellers that are doing it now,
sure,
right? And I don't think I don't think they missed the mark. I don't think it's a bad thing. So we're talking about this report from Zillow. Also, they broke down some of the metropolitan areas and what you could see. So, interestingly enough, if we look at San Jose, California, they say the best time to list is the first half of February. And in that case, if you did it then, you'd be up 3.1% over other properties. Austin, Texas was the second half of March. Seattle, Washington, first half of April. Dallas, Texas, second half of April. Boston, Massachusetts, second half of May. Chicago, second half of May. Cleveland, second half of May. And our very own Baltimore, which kind of includes our area here, the best time to list is the second half of May, where you get a premium of 2%, which roughly comes out at about an $8,000 boost if you're to list in the second half of May.
June for Baltimore.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't want to, but I saw that. I think that second half of June, again, makes sense for us here too. Again, you might not sell right in that second week of June, but you're going to get more eyes on it with more people here. Also not super hot yet. That's kind of, I'm looking at some of these weather things and seeing what I can put together a little bit.
Right.
And then the end of May, last 2 weeks of May makes a lot of sense too, as we're seeing weather get better. We're seeing Memorial Day, which typically means kids are out of school. Mm-hmm. People have some more time to maybe do some things. Maybe they're taking a week vacation at that point. They can get out, check out some properties. Just maybe, and the summer's also upon them. So they know, hey, we can go under contract. Maybe we don't have as many kids activities. We don't have the school to worry about in the next 3 weeks. It's going to be a lot easier for us to kind of settle, get moved in over the summer. Another reason, probably people switching school zones. I just had that, I think last year, where I had a client that they wanted to settle at the end of June and move at the end of June. That way their kids could finish the school year where they were and then start fresh the next semester or next term, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of that makes sense. But again, I think if you're priced properly, it really doesn't matter when you're listing.
Right. That's probably the most important piece, is the overall package, right? A compelling package for a buyer, condition, location, marketing, and pricing is really probably what's going to move the needle more than anything else. To your point, actually, I've got somebody right now. We've been strategizing for the last couple of weeks. Their corporate relocation, getting sent to Colorado. Their kids playing Little League baseball. They finish up like June 2nd, and we want to be ready to be on the market like June 5th, right? The day that the moving ban is out, right? School's over, Little League baseball's over, and now it's ready to start a new chapter. So, yeah, they're not missing the boat. Their timing is good.
These things take time too. That could be another thing where maybe we've talked to a seller in March or April and they had a few projects they wanted to get done, or they wanted to get, the house looking a little bit better, or maybe it just wasn't the right time. So that's, I think, maybe a misconception. Not everybody works for real estate, but, we don't talk to sellers and they sign the same day. A lot of times it's
long
months,
process,
weeks, months of talking to people and, strategizing and then coming up with, okay, we're finally ready. We've spoke for 4 weeks and we've got a game plan moving forward. So these things take time. So, it's not always instant. But I think if you're priced right, there's people looking. There's still a backlog of buyers. We all know maybe it's not the most enticing time right now, but you never know when it's going to be, so if you've been looking and you want to do something, I mean, there's definitely opportunities out there. And if you want to sell, there's buyers that might be looking for your property that hasn't hit the market yet.
Right. Still pent up demand. We still see that. You put a property in the market and you get 2-3 showings right out of the gate. And sometimes that first offer that you get is the one because they've been waiting and looking and haven't quite found it. And then all of a sudden it hits and they're ready to go.
I mean, I was showing, I know we were both showing a property last week, but I think first day it hit the market, it had an offer. I mean, it was really quick. So there's still these properties that are popping up that right away getting a lot of interest. So,
yep, absolutely. Well, that's about all I've got for this week's agenda. I wanted to touch on the best week to sell, that interesting report that you had there with Realtor.com and taxation. But as we wrap up today, best of luck to Stephen Decatur and Ronan and the big day here. And hopefully it's not just today; it leads on till next weekend in the state championship.
Yep, if we win today, state championship, I believe, is Saturday. So hopefully we'll be happy driving back across the bridge tonight. Again, shout out Decatur Lacrosse. I'm not positive what time it is, but their send-off was at 12 today. I think they play at 4. So it's great. I can watch that prior to baseball starting. I try and watch as many of the Decatur games. we're blessed in this new technology era that a lot of stuff's on YouTube or being streamed. So while my wife's driving me across the bridge because I'm a passenger princess, I'll be able to watch the lacrosse game. So.
That's good. That's good. All right, Stephen. Well, we'll have a lot more to talk about here next time we get together. We'll be past all of these great sporting events and past Memorial Day weekend. So
middle of the summer, man.
All right.
Summer will be kicking.
All right. We'll see how it goes. But to all of you, thank you for tuning in. If you like this information, please share it with your friends, like and subscribe. Until next time, make it a great day.
Talk to you guys soon.